Teenage tragedy in Needham. The community heartbroken over the deaths of two young girls killed after being hit by a car.
And a man accused of stabbing his parents at a restaurant set to face a judge. What we know about the charges and the investigation into the murder of his girlfriend.
President Trump starting the week by revealing his budget. Which areas are expected to see a huge boost?
I'm a part of history. There's no better history than this.
Place among the team's all-time greats.
This is 7 News Today in New England.
And good morning, and thanks for being with us on this Monday. I'm Amaka Ubaka.
And I'm Kiki Venzel. So glad you're with us. We'll have all your top stories in just a moment, but first we want to talk that Monday forecast. It's feeling a lot like spring outside. Ren, I know the groundhog said we were supposed to get 6 more weeks of winter, but I think he lied.
It is looking like that, Kiki, as we're talking about very mild temperatures this morning, and most of this week we're going to be well above average. So this morning we're talking about some rain showers, mainly light, to our south across Buzzards Bay. The chance for a couple sprinkles up towards the south shore, the Cape, and the islands through the next couple of hours, and still that slight chance for a sprinkle even during the lunch hour to our southeast. As this cold front continues to push offshore, we're going to be looking at high pressure moving into the region. So we'll kick out some of that cloud cover into this afternoon, and it will be a little breezy at times today, but pretty quiet start to the work week. Here's a look at the timeline of some of this rain. 10 o'clock, still some rain showers possible to our southeast through the lunch hour. But into the afternoon, we lose that cloud cover with mostly sunny skies by the late afternoon. At this point, still some reduced visibility across the islands, but otherwise we've really mixed out most of that fog. Temperatures are in the low 40s here in Boston, and we'll stay in the upper 30s, low 40s this afternoon.
All right, thank you, Ren. Time now for Fast Track Traffic. Marshall Hook is in for Elena Pinto. Good morning, Marshall.
And good morning. It's been a long, slow ride here on 93 southbound coming into town. You can see it remains as such now. Looking at the maps, you'll see a lot of red there by 93. Also still dealing with those two accidents, one on 95 right where it meets Route 1 up in Topsfield, then another further south on Route 1. And then, of course, it'll slow down by the Tobin Bridge. The expressway, a long, slow ride getting into town, 30 minutes at this point. A couple spots where it breaks free, but still very slow. 95-24 have been pretty good this morning. Route 3 typical delays, and the Mass Pike and Mass still dealing with residual delays from that earlier accident. Back to you guys.
All right, Marshall, and happening today, students in Needham returning to class with really heavy hearts. 2 teenage girls died after they were hit by a car over the weekend.
And this morning, the school is doing what it can to help their grieving classmates. 7's Victoria Warren is live at Needham High School with more. Good morning, Vicki.
Good morning. The high school day getting started here in Needham today, and you can see live behind me through the traffic, there is the memorial for these 2 teenagers who were killed. This memorial and this crash scene located right next to Needham High School, and the school today, they have grief counselors on hand. 16-year-old Italia Newfield and 17-year-old Adrian Garrido killed over the weekend, hit by a car as they were crossing a street.
She had a bright personality, always had a smile on her face, was always there to help others.
Ben Aliber grew up with Talia, saying she's a gifted athlete and artist. Both teens went to Needham High School, which is right near the crash scene.
With a loss like this, there's no normal.
Grief counselors ready for students Monday. Even on Sunday, the school opened its doors, and churches also welcomed young people who just needed someone to talk to.
And the most important thing at a time like this is to just be together.
Police releasing few details about the crash. They say the driver stopped. They called in the state police accident reconstruction team. And they tested a red car's brakes and spent hours going through the scene. Meanwhile, friends and loved ones came by with flowers and heavy hearts.
One of our friends is now gone, and it's just going to impact us for the rest of our lives.
As the students are returning back to school, the Needham Police Department continues its investigation into this crash. At this point, there have not been any charges filed. Live this morning in Needham, Victoria Warren, 7 News Today in New England.
And 7 News now with the very latest in 2 stabbing investigations. A 24-year-old man accused of stabbing his own parents at a restaurant in Millis, and he could also face charges in another stabbing that left his girlfriend dead in Needham. 7's Nicole Oliverio is live outside court in Rentham with more this morning. Nicole.
Kiki, we know that this man's parents suffered serious stab wounds. His mother is still in the hospital. Both are expected to be okay, but we're hoping to learn more about those charges and a possible motive when he faces a judge later this morning.
A son is charged with stabbing his parents at a family birthday party at a Millis restaurant Saturday night. Investigators say this attack led them to the suspect Benjamin Walsh's apartment in Needham. There, police say they found Walsh's 20-year-old girlfriend inside, dead.
Shocked. I felt sorry for her. She's so young. She's 20 years old. It's a tragedy.
Millis police initially responded to the Primavera restaurant. A family member tells us they were there to celebrate her 70th birthday. That's where Walsh is accused of stabbing his mother and father.
We were able to subdue him, tie him up after the initial stabbing.
Soon after, police conducted a welfare check at Walsh's multifamily home in Needham, where he and his girlfriend reportedly lived together.
Needham police were contacted, and they gained entry to the third-floor apartment and discovered the 20-year-old deceased body of the defendant's girlfriend.
The district attorney says they believe Walsh killed the 20-year-old and expect to file charges against him for that crime.
We're investigating this as a homicide, so that's, clearly a potential charge that we anticipate.
So today, when Walsh goes before a judge, we will only hear the case against his parents. It's unclear exactly when the district attorney plans to file those possible murder charges. Live in Rentham, Nicole, 7 News.
And Brockton police are investigating a shooting. According to investigators, it happened early this morning on Warren Avenue. We're told that the shooting took place outside of a gas station. And a man is under arrest after police say he held a CVS employee hostage in a syringe stick-up. They say he told a worker he worked for the company and demanded to be told where the painkillers were kept. When an employee asked for credentials, she says he slammed her head against a counter. The suspect has been arrested and he's facing several charges this morning. And the investigation continues after a man was hit by a car in front of a Salem fire station. It happened on Lafayette Street last night. Fire officials say the car initially kept going following the crash, but later stopped. The victim suffered life-threatening injuries.
To more news today, we're seeing new video of the deadly plane crash in Russia as the search for clues continues this morning, and you can see the large flames at the top of the screen and smoke billowing into the air. The crash happened Saturday. All 71 people on board that plane died. Crews say they've recovered the flight data recorder and the voice recorder, which they will use to help find the cause. According to officials, the pilots didn't report any issues before the airplane crashed shortly after takeoff outside Moscow.
And the president's agenda focused on the budget. President Trump set to roll out his 2019 budget today. He's expected to renew his call for major cuts to non-defense programs. It would also give a big boost to the Pentagon. President Trump's budget will aim to reduce the deficit by $3 trillion over a decade. The White House will ask Congress for $23 billion for border security programs and $17 billion in opioid-related spending, with most of that going to treatment, prevention, and recovery. And the Trump administration also expected to roll out its infrastructure plan today, targeting the nation's roads, bridges, highways, and railways. 7's Matt Rascone is here in the newsroom with more of the details.
Yeah, the president's goal is to improve the nation's crumbling infrastructure, and the proposal relies heavily on state and local governments to pay the bill.
Even before taking office, infrastructure has been an issue for the president.
We're like a third world nation. You look at our airports, our roads.
Our infrastructure is falling apart.
I'm going to start swimming across rivers and lakes now. I don't want to drive.
It was a point President Trump reiterated in his State of the Union address last month.
I am asking both parties to come together to give us safe, fast, reliable, and modern infrastructure that our economy needs and our people deserve.
White House officials say the president's plan has 4 goals: reducing the permitting process from 10 to 2 years, funding for rural infrastructure, improving workforce for the boost in infrastructure, and
to produce a bill that generates at least $1.5 trillion for the new infrastructure investment that our country so desperately needs.
The administration says only $200 billion of that $1.5 trillion will come from direct federal spending. The remainder is expected to come from state and local governments. This weekend, in advance of the White House's announcement, House Democrats released their own proposal. That plan calls for making 5 times more federal funding available.
And the president just tweeted about infrastructure just in the last few moments, saying, quote, "This will be a big week for infrastructure after so stupidly spending $7 trillion in the Middle East. It is now time to start investing in our country." And infrastructure will be the topic this morning at 11 a.m. when the president will meet with state and local officials. Matt Rascombe, 7 News, Today New England.
Meantime, the Senate will vote on a revenue bill today that will pave the way for a discussion on immigration. Lawmakers need at least 60 votes to pass an immigration proposal. A group of Republican senators released a version of President Trump's immigration proposal ahead of a debate this week. Lawmakers, they want a resolution for Dreamers before DACA expires. That's set to happen in March.
And there is much more ahead on the Today in New England, including more on the ultimate Celtic tribute to the truth. Paul Pierce taking his rightful spot among the team's all-time greats.
Also ahead, caught on camera, a highway in China turning into a great wall of flames. What caused the eruption?
And later accused of targeting people when they're most vulnerable, the charges this man is facing as he goes before a judge.
Tonight, Trump drugs. They're dangerous and illegal, but some say there's a way to reduce the risk of using them.
Does testing a drug before you use it make you any safer?
Hang looks into a controversial product that could be giving drug users a false sense of security. 7 investigates tonight at 9 and 10.
An accused burglar set to face charges in court. How police in Barnstable say he was choosing his victims.
And 2 police officers in Ohio gunned down. How the community is remembering those fallen heroes.
And the White House doing damage control, the cross communication after a top aide resigns facing abuse allegations.
This is 7 News Today in New England.
And welcome back this morning. Thanks for joining us to kick off your Monday morning.
Yes, right. It has been a pretty rainy weekend, I would say, but you know, things have definitely cleared up. It's mild to start our Monday morning. And right as we take a look at the skyline, I have to say the sun looks like it's slowly starting to come out, which is nice.
We are going to gradually see some of that sunshine here today, but still some scattered showers to our southeast. Through the next couple of hours, we keep that chance for a stray shower across the Cape, the islands especially, as this cold front continues to push offshore. High pressure is building in right behind this, and we'll be looking at a pleasant start to the work week. And like you mentioned, seeing more sunshine as we head into the afternoon. But still through late morning, we keep that chance for some showers. Slight chance across the South Shore, better chance as you head towards the islands. And then into the afternoon, we clear out our cloud cover, especially by late afternoon, seeing more of that sunshine. Right now, we're at 43 here in Boston. We have dropped off a little bit, and most of the day we spend the day with temperatures in the upper 30s to our northwest, low 40s here in Boston. Mild forecast and quiet conditions, just a little bit soggy and damp out there still. Back to you guys.
All right, Brandon, time now for a check-in on your drive-in this morning. Marshall Hook is in for Elena.
Yeah, we're looking at 93 coming through Somerville, and you also get a shot of some of the surface streets here. Just a long, slow mess, and as you take a look at the map, it's going to back that up. A lot of red pretty much everywhere we look right now. On the expressway, we've been holding pretty steady at just about a half an hour from the split into town. We have an accident 24 northbound at 139, but thankfully most of the commute is over on 24, meaning that won't be too bad a problem. Route 3 slowing down. As you can see, the Pike still dealing with earlier accident slowdowns, and north of town still dealing with that accident. 95 southbound at Route 1. Back to you guys.
Marshall, thank you. Now to the day's top story. Students at Needham High School will be returning to school today after 2 classmates were killed in a crash over the weekend. Adrian Garrido and Talia Newfield were hit by a car on Webster Street Saturday night. The superintendent says that the school will have resources available to support students this week. And a man is expected in court today accused of stabbing his parents at a restaurant in Millis. That investigation led police to the suspect's apartment in Needham, where his girlfriend was found dead. Now, officials say the suspect is expected to face charges in connection with her death as well. And White House officials say President Trump will release his infrastructure plan today. It's expected to call for $1.5 trillion to repair and upgrade infrastructure across America. However, White House aides say only $200 billion would come from federal spending. The rest of the money is expected to come from state and local governments.
Happening today, a man police call the Ovid Bandit is set to appear in court. He's accused of breaking into homes while the people who live there aren't not only there, they're at funerals. And 7's John Coco is live in District Court in Barnstable with more on this story this morning.
So, Kiki, this suspect was arrested Friday night, but here's the thing. He's no stranger to police or this exact crime. 35-year-old Randy Brunel of Plymouth was picked up for breaking into the homes of people attending the wake or funeral of a loved one. Police say they found him with jewelry stuffed in his sweatshirt pockets. Back in 2012, Brunel was arrested and served time for breaking into the home of a Sandwich police officer's mother while the officer was attending her funeral. Police say they've been investigating several break-ins like this all over the Cape the past few months and believe Brunel is tied to them. Now, Brunel was released Saturday, but he's expected here in court at some point today. We're live in Barnstable. John Coco, 7 News, Today New England.
And the man accused of stabbing a man in Bridgewater is also expected in court today. Police arrested him on Friday. The victim was taken to the hospital with wounds on his back, neck, and arm. 41-year-old Adam Martinez is charged with armed assault and murder. He is currently being held on $15,000 bail.
And police are investigating a deadly fire at an apartment building in New Hampshire. Flames spilling from that second-floor window. Fire crews say they had to rescue a number of people from the upper floors. Neighbors getting the chance to save what was left behind.
My family came out all right. That's all that's important. Material things you can replace. A life you can't.
The Red Cross is working to help everyone who lives in that building. And police say a drunk driver was behind the wheel taking down this utility pole in Pelham, New Hampshire. The crash knocking down wires and snapping the pole. Investigators say the driver ran off until they found him hours later.
And happening today, the city of Everett is expected to consider how to cover a $9 million budget shortfall for local schools. The school district said last week that dozens of teachers will be laid off if they can't find the money. Students have protested that decision. City officials say they have already made nearly half of the funding, but it's still not enough. And the new head of Harvard University is taking charge. The Ivy League school has named Lawrence Bacow as its 29th president. Bacow previously served as president of Tufts University. He was also previously a leader in residence at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. Now Bacow takes over for Drew Faust, the first female president in school history. In a video released by the school, Bacow explained why he's up for the job.
These are interesting and challenging times for higher education, and part of what attracts me to this opportunity is the chance to speak not just on behalf of Harvard, but on behalf of all that colleges and universities stand for.
And Bacow has also earned 3 degrees from Harvard.
Now back to the president's agenda this morning. The White House doing damage control following domestic abuse allegations against a former White House top aide. And not everyone in the administration is on the same page. 7's Matt Rascone joining us now with more.
Kiki, mixed messages coming from the White House. The president sympathizing with his former top aide Rob Porter on Twitter, and advisor Kellyanne Conway saying she has no reason not to believe the ex-wives.
I was horrified, and I was also very shocked. It's, as many people have noted, Jake, this is not the Rob Porter we worked with in the White House.
White House advisor Kellyanne Conway reacting to domestic abuse allegations against former White House staffer Rob Porter.
You have contemporaneous police reports. You have women speaking to the FBI under threat of perjury. You have police reports. You have photographs. And when you look at all of that pulled together, you realize that Rob Porter did the right thing by resigning.
President Trump struck a much different tone over the weekend, writing, "People's lives are being shattered and destroyed by a mere allegation. And is there no such thing any longer as due process?" Administration members are now trying to clarify that statement.
If your cameraman came to you and said that to you, you probably would give that person the benefit of the doubt. That's what the president did. But as soon as it became apparent to us that the allegations were true, Rob Porter had to go.
Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who's gone to battle against the president before, criticized his comments on Twitter, writing, "If he wants due process for the over dozen sexual assault allegations against him, let's have congressional hearings tomorrow. I would support that, and my colleagues should too." Allegations against Porter surfaced last week when his two ex-wives said they suffered years of emotional and physical abuse. Porter resigned shortly after, calling the accusations outrageous and simply false.
Now, Chief of Staff John Kelly says he first learned about those allegations last week. Critics say he handled the situation poorly, but President Trump says he has full faith in Kelly. Maka, back to you.
Matt, thank you. And new details on the shooting deaths of 2 officers in Ohio. The suspect is now facing 2 counts of murder. He's accused of shooting and killing the officers as they responded to a 911 hang-up call. Officers shot the suspect and he was taken to a hospital. Now, those 2 officers honored at a vigil. Hundreds of people packed a church to pay their respects. Officers filing in to honor their colleagues. There was also a vigil held at the high school. Now, officers Anthony Morelli and Eric Doring were both killed. Combined, they served nearly 50 years with the police department, and they both leave behind wives and children.
The sale of the Weinstein Company has been, delayed because of a lawsuit filed by the New York Attorney General against Harvey Weinstein and the company. A 4-month-long investigation reports employees of Weinstein's company were mistreated and exploited. Weinstein has been accused of sexual harassment and assault by more than 60 women. He's denied allegations of non-consensual sex.
And new this morning, a drug maker in Japan says it has developed a pill that can quickly kill the flu. Now, according to the Wall Street Journal, the company says the experimental drug can wipe out the virus in just about 24 hours, which can be up to 3 times faster than other drugs. The company will apply for U.S. approval this summer. If it is approved, it could be available by next year. And the state of California launching an investigation into the healthcare company Aetna. A former medical director at the insurance company admitted that he never looked at patients' records before denying or approving care. Dr. Jay Enuma made the statement under oath. He says millions of Aetna members likely lived in his territory, and he relied on information from nurses who did read the records.
If a health insurer is making decisions to deny coverage without a physician actually ever reviewing medical records, that's of significant concern to me as insurance commissioner in California, and potentially a violation of law.
An Aetna spokesperson told CNN that all medical directors are trained to review all medical information, including records, to make their decisions to approve or deny care.
There's a lot more ahead on Today in New England, including dozens of Rhode Island students sick after eating fruit.
What the health department is saying caused the reaction, and the new details we're just finding out about the upcoming royal wedding, including when and where.
And details on a spring-like forecast that we get to enjoy. Some 50-degree temperatures headed our way. I'll take a look after the break.
Tonight, tough drugs. They're dangerous and illegal, but some say there's a way to reduce the risk of using them.
Does testing a drug before you use it make you any safer?
Hang looks into a controversial product that could be giving drug users a false sense of security. 7 investigates tonight at 9 and 10.